On the mic is a queen.
A place for you to be authentically you.
It's good, crazy.
We support each other.
Keep going. Oh, okay.
And have fun while doing it. Most importantly, we encourage one another to keep going.
Okay, come on. 1, 2, 3, get it together.
You're listening to the Authentically Naturale podcast, where we discuss controversial issues to bring one another together. We are your hosts, Kasey Freeman and Jasmine Philyaw.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Authentically Naturale podcast.
On today's topic, we're going to be talking about triggers, identifying toxic people, and redefining those relationships.
Wow, we got a lot to uncover today, huh?
I know. It's a heavy one, but a needy one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because everybody, I feel like over the last year, maybe year and a half, we've talked more about triggers. Mm-hmm. And before that was never really a buzzword or a hot topic word, but now it's like you're being a trigger.
Mm-hmm. And nowadays the word for this year I feel like is toxic. Like everybody has overused toxic. Yeah. So I'm glad we're discussing it today.
Absolutely. I mean, how do you know when you're being triggered? Like I feel like for me it's just it's like you have gotten under my skin so much that I'm now finna punch you in the face.
Yeah, it's like when I feel like I get triggered, I start to feel kind of like an array of emotions. It kind of infuriates me. And like, especially if I feel like if it's your first time triggering me and I've talked to you about what triggers me, but you throw slick shade or you continue to do it, that just makes me want to pop off. So then I get an attitude. Or I say something as opposed to, okay, you triggered me. I don't want to talk to you at the moment. So for me, that's what happens with my triggers.
I feel like having the word trigger allows you to express yourself outwardly. Don't F with me anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of saying, hey, like, you're making me upset, it's like, no, you're a trigger at this point. Like, and I'm finna pop you.
Have you ever had, like, close friends or family? I feel like family is just a given. Like, we don't choose them. So it's like, they're going to trigger us regardless. That's how I feel. But, like, have you ever had, like, close friends that's, like, triggered you? Like, and how did you mold that relationship?
I feel like this is, like, kind of funny because, like, you're my best friend, obviously, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like you know whenever I get triggered, and you don't hit any trigger. I've never told you that you hit triggers. With that being said, like, since you are my best friend, you know when other people are being a trigger immediately. So you already know, like, y'all better stop. Y'all better stop.
Leave her alone.
So yes, I have had friends to trigger me, and I feel like I do not handle being triggered well.
Yeah, I don't think nobody does.
I thought she was gonna say, yeah, I don't think you do.
No, like, I don't think anybody does.
No, but I feel like with, like, you're very, like, sophisticated and very classy. Like, you just say, okay, now, like, I don't talk about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but with me, like, I'm like, get the on my face.
That's true, but I don't always handle it right. Like, sometimes I kind of just go off the handle and just, like, sometimes I just get an attitude really quick instead of just using those communication skills that I've learned. I fall short of Lord.
We all do, sis.
Yeah, I fall short. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, now we've already talked about this. I've already told you how I feel. Why would you even let that come out your mouth?
I think it's like, I feel like you get the most triggered when you've already expressed, like, I don't like this.
That's it.
I feel like I don't ever set that standard up front. So then it's just like when I do get the trigger, like, dang, it's a new trigger, like, now I'm mad.
Yes. It's like, I give you, it's not the fact of giving you the pass, it's the fact of, hey, like, can you just not say that? Or, hey, can you not even insinuate that?
Yeah.
But then if you continue to do it,
then you're mad.
I'm either going to cut phone time, I'm going to cut time, I'm going to, like...
Because your love language is quality time. We talked about that. So,
and words of affirmation.
And words of affirmation. So you like, no, you don't have access to me.
At this point, because it's like, I don't got time for words. I don't got time. I think for me, how I handled a trigger was I got upset and I just kind of like just was like, You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was like I went on a tangent as opposed to just being like, you know what, I'm gonna call you back. Or you know what, I gotta talk to you later. You know what I'm saying? Because literally, I be trying to remember, you gotta protect your peace at all times.
All times.
I be trying to. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to protect your peace. Because sometimes people, and then especially when you, and I think it's difficult for me because I'm always the bigger person.
Right.
So like I'm always, for me, my role in any of my friendships and family dynamic is I'm the bigger person. I'm gonna apologize or you know, generally, you know, people coming to me asking me for advice, or I'm the mediator. Like I'm mediating the situation. As opposed to, well, you know, the mediator gets fed up. The bigger person doesn't always want to be the bigger person. Sometimes the bigger person is like, well, you know what, you hurt me, and I really think you need to come to me first. Like, or you know what, I think since you didn't understand what I went through at that point, or even try to have empathy, I don't even want to deal with it at the moment. Like sometimes, I mean, because I'm human, so sometimes I'd be like, hey, it is what it is. I can say you really haven't triggered me either. You've never really triggered me. You never really said something that made me like be like upset. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good
I think it's because like I value your friendship so much, you know, and so like I don't want to like throw slick shots. But there are some times where I do the petty ones, you know what I'm saying?
But it's like, it's a time and a place for that too, though, too.
Yeah.
Like, we joke all the time. But if you know I'm serious, or if you can kind of tell within my voice that, oh, she kind of feeling some type of way today.
Yeah.
Or even with me, like, it's kind of like, and some stuff you kind of know to avoid. Just like me, like, okay, like, we ain't gonna even talk. Why would I even... You know, that's just how I feel. And I think when people understand their triggers and understand, hey, like, this is what triggers me, you're able to establish some type of coping mechanism or some type of way in which you can be like, hey, I need some time.
And I don't even know if it's like for other people, like, don't do that again. Like, I think once it's like, okay, like, I'm triggered, then they know, okay, like, I know that this was a button that pushed me. Versus not saying anything, and then it's like, I don't know what I did.
Yeah, that is true. Being direct, because see, this is the issue with people. And people, me included. Sometimes we feel like people are mind readers, or they should automatically assume or know. So then we kind of be like, okay, well, they didn't really mean it, but then they do it again. And then you be like, okay, so I'm going to excuse it. It's like you let it get to a point until it festers, and then you blow up, and then it's crap everywhere. As opposed to just being like, you know what, you know, even if you don't address it the first 2 times, that third time when it's become such a huge deal, you need to be like, look, like, I excused you the first 2 times, but that pissed me off. Or that made me feel some type of way. Now I'm addressing this now because I don't want it to get too bad. But if they continue to do it or say it, then that's when you need to try to establish boundaries or cutting that person off. Because now they don't respect your space. And they don't respect you, obviously, because they keep doing it.
So, speaking of, like, identifying that person, like, how do you identify a toxic person versus just someone who just makes you upset and just hits one trigger and didn't know? Or, you know, like, where do you draw the line in what a toxic person is and they need to be cut out of your life like a tumor?
Signs for me is like, if somebody just does not respect my space, or just in general just don't respect me, and also a relationship is a compromise to me. It's a give and take for me. It's accommodating, but it's a give and take. So I feel like if you're not contributing into my relationship, like if you're not pouring into me equally, there's no point. Because I can't always be the pourer. Like I need to be coming to you for something. Each one of my friends, I learn something from all of them. They teach me something in different ways. They're pouring into me. They're investing time into me. Just like I invest and I pour into them. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you're not doing that and there's no benefit, and I hate saying benefit like it's a transaction, but you got to think about your well-being too. And being equally yoked. Yeah, and that's what it is. People think you got to be equally yoked just in general for personal life. But you, this is equally yoked. Is it like, I don't know if people are familiar with Grey's Anatomy, but when Meredith Grey told Christina, like, you are my person, my friends are my people. Because you love them. I love my significant other, but at the same time,
It's a different
it's no
type
blood.
of love.
It's just it's a different type of love.
Yeah.
So, you know, all relationships, there needs to be some type of equal balance with pouring. And maybe for a season, it's difficult for you to pour.
Yeah.
Or maybe for a season, it's difficult for them to pour.
Yeah.
But you help them get to that point.
Yeah.
Now, you know, that's what I think.
I feel like for me, going on top of what you just said, is my energy is different around a toxic person. Like, I physically feel different. I no longer can process thought or emotion the same way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I'm also drained. Like, I'm always tired. Like, I'm always fed up. I'm short-tempered around a toxic person. And I'm not as at peace within myself whenever I'm around someone who I know, like, is a Cancer.
Ooh. And so your body, people... Like, I know everybody doesn't have discernment, or everybody don't.
Yeah, and my discernment sometimes be a little off. I can't lie.
But you know, your body will tell you.
Yeah.
Like your spirit, like you'll have signs. Like there'll be something that will show you or make you feel like, okay, this ain't it.
Yeah. But I feel like when you don't know those triggers, but like when you just don't know how to deal with healthy relationships, because there are some people who come up in toxic relationships and all they know is toxic relationships. So then all they're being is a toxic person, because that's all they know and that's all they've seen and that's all they grown up with. And I feel really bad for those people.
Me too.
Because it's very hard to, like, you really can't change anybody. So unless they want to be changed, and sometimes toxic people don't even know that they're toxic.
Whew, that's true. That's
Or
why you gotta be honest.
Yes. Or even have the capacity. If you come up to somebody and say, "Hey, Jasmine, you're a toxic person. You've done X, Y, and Z." You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have the readiness to receive that and feel that, then you're gonna be even more upset, because then you're gonna be like, "Well, I'm not toxic, and it's you, not me," and it's just like dealing with someone like that is very hard.
Because it's not easy as 1, 2, 3. Like,
right.
You know, I totally agree. Some people aren't ready to receive stuff because constructive criticism is a thing.
Yeah.
But like, I think people do it wrong. And I think people do constructive criticism wrong. They put more emphasis on the criticism as opposed to the construction. Like the overall, like, hey, like, this is how I can help you, or hey, so this is something. However, how about we do this to fix it? It's like, you know, people criticize as opposed to coming up with a solution, or at least saying, hey, let's come up with a solution. Like, that's why I think some people don't receive it wrong, because some people just can't go up to some people and be like, look, like, you're this, you're that.
Yeah.
In some aspects, you can be like, look, you are an amazing person. And it's not sugarcoating, it's just, you're an amazing person. However, this situation occurred and I felt some type of way about it. And for future references, I feel like maybe we don't need to talk about this. Maybe this shouldn't even be a subject. Let's just avoid that, because that's going to lead to something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily saying like you're a horrible person, but that's just me telling you that my boundaries have been crossed.
Yeah.
And that's more emphasis on the constructive side of the criticism as opposed to the actual criticism.
Right. I like that. Because I feel like I don't really ever give criticism to give it constructively or not.
Yeah.
Like, to notice that, simply because, like, I know how I am when I receive stuff. Like, I only want to receive stuff from certain people. Like, I don't want everyone's feedback. And I feel like as a journalist, that's why I feel that way about certain things, because you can interpret the news several different ways. Everybody's going to watch the news differently.
I agree.
Everybody's going to watch your demo reel differently, right? And everyone's going to have something different to say. And, like, I was just very trying to please everybody. Yeah, because then somebody's going to say, well, I don't like you with straight hair. I don't like you with curly hair. And then it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I only allow certain people to look at my stuff or even give me feedback or give me critiques, because I want to be very selective of who is pouring into me.
Ooh, that's a good one too, because I think about that. Like, I think about some people aren't able to discuss things with people, so they choose people. But at a certain point, people have to understand you have to play it in your mind to where I gotta figure out how to talk to this person. Yeah. Not you. I'm saying in general, the people that have, tried to give you criticism or have, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They didn't know you well enough to do that. Like, and that's the same for me. Like, some people just give. That's another thing they be getting under my skin. Everybody wants to give advice, but ain't been through shit.
Yes.
There is no way.
No.
I'm going to give you journalism advice that has not come from a textbook. Yeah. That ain't always the good case. You might come to me for a press release. Look over this. Yeah. Can you edit this? But you know what I'm saying? 100%. And that's the same with like with my field. It's like you're not an expert at everything. But the issue is everybody wants to give people advice.
And speaking on that as well is people like to give advice on other people's relationships. Ooh. And I know that there have been conversations that we've had, you know what I mean, and you're in a relationship and I'm not. And I'll say, well, I always would preface it by saying I'm not in a relationship, you know what I mean, because I cannot I've been in a relationship before, but it's just, I'm a single person and I don't want, I
get it.
I always say maybe you want to talk to Victoria or Chelsea or, you know what I'm saying, because they are actually in a relationship right now. Like, I can't speak on something that I'm not.
Or you'll be like, look, so maybe this is how I would interpret it. This is how I feel. And that's really all you can do. So pushing past those envelopes, let's jump on gear towards redefining relationships. Okay. Because now that we have signs as to identifying toxic people and then our triggers, but how do you redefine? Say for instance, okay, I have a toxic person. I talk to them. I'm working with them. How do you redefine that relationship? Because it's like there are still good qualities in that person. You hang with that person. You love that person. But how do you redefine that relationship, in your opinion?
And I'll just say, I think it just depends on where you are with if you're gonna stay or go.
Yes, that's true.
That's the number one thing I feel. Do you think that this person is worth? Not even worth. Do you think that this person has the will and the ability and the want to better themselves, or do you think that they just think that they're okay and they don't want to change anything? Because you know that. You can identify that first. Yes. Because otherwise they wouldn't continue to be a trigger and toxic person in your life. That's true. So I would say if it's your time to leave, sis, it's your time to leave. You know what I'm saying? It's just it ain't nothing to cut that. That's the song. That's what the song said. Snip, snip. I'm just saying. But if they do show promise, I feel like the best way to get rid of darkness is with love.
No, you didn't MLK it.
Well, I got two twitches. I thought. That's what they said.
I love me some tea and
Twitches too. It was on Twitches too. I just feel like if you love someone and show them how you love, you're leading by example. Like, actions always speak louder than words.
I agree. And if that person still can't get with the program, just like Kasey said, if you see someone and you know they're trying and you know they're working on themselves, we're not perfect, be like, okay. But if you know deep down them fools ain't finna change, guess what you need to do? Exit. Because that is going to save you heartache. It probably will hurt. Yeah. But it's going to save you heartache in the long run.
Yeah, and honestly, it just won't ever be worth it.
No.
To stay with a toxic person. Regardless of if it's someone that you're in a romantic relationship with or a platonic relationship with, because you're going to always be giving to them and not receiving anything, and your cup will be empty or being fulfilled by somebody else, and then their cup will be empty. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just think that knowing your triggers helps you identify toxic people.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you identify a toxic person, like basically the choice is always yours. Like I know a lot of women in particular feel like they don't have a choice or don't have an option or this is as good as it's gonna get.
Yeah.
But there's always something else out there.
Yeah.
There's always a better something, even if it's by yourself. It's
Wow.
better than being with a toxic person that's going
Wow.
to drain you. You're not going to meet your capacity, and you're going to always be falling short of what you should be striving for because you're with someone that's going to bring you down.
And that's for any type of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Work relationships too. You don't have to go to lunch with a colleague. Like I totally get it. It goes for everything. I think one of the key components of everything that we discuss within our topics is truly valuing yourself and
Be authentic to you.
Yes, be authentically you,
Mm-hmm.
and just like value yourself. Value yourself, because your peace. I'm telling you, when you get a piece of peace,
oh,
you be like,
this feels good.
I
Like
don't want-
it's like
I don't want that now.
yeah, you can't imagine anything else.
Mm-hmm.
It's like this feels good, and I want this.
I want this. No, that's right. Hallelujah.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
All right. Well, wrapping it up, we're hoping that something that was said here today will help cultivate you. And just remember, like, identify those toxic traits in people, figure out your triggers if you don't know them, and redefine your relationships, even if that means leaving them. But it's up to you.
And don't feel bad of what you choose. So be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more talks like this one. Share and like it so that other people can get blessed by the same message. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up and write your comments of what you would do down below.